My name is Ayush Kumar, and I'm a data scientist. I'm in this space of data science for approximately 7 years now, and typically my role involves around using data and a lot of heavy knowledge I've been using into Python, where for a lot of data science projects, I use Python quite heavily. And with this connection of pieces, I've been using this for about, I think, 2 weeks. And in terms of what I typically do is it's all sort of different use cases related to AI you can imagine. And recently, a lot of use cases around Gen AI, because there has been a lot of hype, and also it is quite promising technology. So I've been focusing on a lot of different use cases for organizations, leveraging generative AI as well.
What type of specific projects are you working on? I'm interested.
I started using OpenAI keys, API keys, and models. So GPT 3.5 Turbo and recently GPT-4. But I have been also exploring some local models like Llama 2 and Falcon from Hugging Face, because there has been a lot of security related concerns with OpenAI where organizations aren't sure whether their data is secure or not. So that's why there has been a lot of interest in using or leveraging local models. So I have also been using local models as well. And on the side, I've been also using AWS. If any organization uses AWS, I've been working within their platform to build architecture and solution within the entire AWS infrastructure.
What were your initial thoughts as you started using pieces for developers? Are there any initial challenges that you faced during the setup or impressions that you want to mention?
Setup, I would say it was not that complicated. Feature-wise, like I was literally amazed. And as I said, for a lot of pieces which I have been struggling in my past, for example, either if I talk about saving my code snippets from within Jupyter Lab, because Jupyter Lab is already very good in terms of making sure block by block we are writing the code and executing one at a time. But if I have to save certain code snippets which I can reuse, it was really amazing, like how I can just quickly hit a button, copy and save, and then it saves in my pieces Chrome extension to say, which is inbuilt. And then once I have stored, let's say 10 snippets, or maybe like after a few weeks, I'm having 100 snippets stored, and I can just quickly search for it and get the relevant result. That is pretty amazing. And also the good part is it tries to gives a title for each snippet automatically, which is also very neat in terms of the functionality. And then that's one of the key beneficial parts I observed. And then the second one is the Copilot again, which is inbuilt within one interface, where I can, if I'm stuck in a particular code, or and as you know that now with ChatGPT, it has become much more efficient for any developers to ask any question and get a particular result, and then start reusing it and using it for your own use case. So I don't have to go there and instead and just be on one single interface and take, let's say, one quick snippet and ask the Copilot right then and there, which is Pieces Copilot. And I think the LLM which you are using is mostly sensitive to programming. So I think that gives us better results versus the regular ChatGPT it's like general. So that is helpful as well, where it's mostly built for programmers, which is a great thing.
What programs are you usually saving code snippets from? Do you find yourself researching, problem solving in the browser, saving a lot of code snippets from Stack Overflow and other websites, ChatGPT even, or saving code snippets while you're in Jupyter Lab and writing a script, saving it to Pieces? Are there any use cases for you as a data scientist that Pieces was just intuitive throughout your workflow in that process?
Yes. So the one which I mentioned was Jupyter Lab, but to your point, it also has the inbuilt functionality on third-party websites like Stack Overflow, Medium, and from that also, wherever we have code snippet in the article, it gives the copy and save, which is very useful as well, because I think the only reason why we go on those websites is to refer and get us going on a specific use case. And the majority of the time we copy and paste the code back in Jupyter Lab or anywhere else. That functionality is very useful and the only reason why we are saving that code snippet is because we feel that that is useful and it can be used again and again. The fact that we copy and save through Pieces, it saves it within their own cloud environment. So it's not that just I'm just copying and pasting it for my own one use case. It's like universal. If I have saved it, I can search for it like a month after for us different use case as well. And specifically the search functionality is quite important, which allows us to basically quickly get to that specific snippet which I'm looking for. Let's say I'm working on an image to text classification problem. So if the code snippet is related to that, then it basically saves me a lot of time to quickly return that result. As I said, I don't use like a lot of new tools generally, but I have been quite hooked to pieces already. So I'll continue to use it often. I think it will continue to evolve. What I have seen also is the suggestions, what it gives when it refers a specific code snippet. It gives suggestions of what kind of questions I can ask further. That was something which I found very useful and accurate as well, because the suggestions were quite good in terms of how it is reading the content. As I said, if there's 10 lines of code, it was able to give me quite good set of questions to ask. And that thing is not generic, right? Because the suggestions of questions is like it gives 5-6 different type of question suggestions. So that was very helpful. And it's like a reverse engineering where you can imagine it helps me to understand also what the code is about, and also how I can improve the code further as well by reading through those questions. And if I needed to ask any question, I can just click on it and ask them.
Maybe you could walk me through sort of the life cycle of a code snippet. As a data scientist, what's the most popular sort of workflow as you're researching, going to the IDE, if you're writing with other teammates? I'm curious, where do you get the code from usually? Do you make any adjustments to it along the way? And how does that code snippet sort of move through your work in progress journey?
Imagine I'm on a website like a Stack Overflow or a Medium. So I refer, first of all, in Google, whether image to text classification, for example. And then I go to an article. And then what I do is I copy and save with that pieces enablement, which is already from Chrome extension. It automatically gives me that pop-up to copy and save. And then once I save it, I go back to Jupyter Lab. And then for the immediate use case, if it's an image to text classification problem, then I can just start to use the code which I copied from there via the Chrome extension of pieces. And I can just refer the codes in the Jupyter Lab because it automatically gives you the search element. And the best part is whatever I saved recently, it pops up in the first. So I don't need to search if I'm already working on an active use case. But imagine that I have a snippet which is already saved from past. So what I typically do is I just search for it right there, and then I can just build on it, right, by taking that code and start writing more to it. And as I'm having any questions, I can, the key part is that I don't need to always search in Google for any question and go to a Stack Overflow. I can just use the Copilot then. Another thing which is quite neat is basically it gives me the related links, which is quite powerful. I don't need to again go to Google and find the appropriate link. Like it has the most appropriate links due to the fact that it is meant for programmers, the LLM behind it. So that is useful as well. I think the options are there, which is useful because I don't have to rely on just one single right behind it. So that flexibility is very, very nice. It gives me that flexibility to switch between different models quite easily depending on use case to use case, because definitely, for example, voice related use cases might be better served in Llama 2 versus OpenAI.
Are you doing less context switching? What are some of the noticeable efficiency gains?
The key gains has been the ability to save snippets and search anytime I want to for a similar type of use case, to start reusing my work which has been done, because a lot of times there has been codes which can be reused, right? So that has been quite amazing to have a central repository and a search functionality to quickly get to my previous code. And I don't think I had that ability before in any fashion. And then the second one has been the Copilot within one single page. I don't need to switch between tabs or anything, or go 100 of different places to get my code fixed or get further help as I'm stuck in between performing my programming for achieving a certain objective. So through that, I would say has been a huge efficiency gain for me with these 2-3 pieces. Overall, like I would say, I'm personally a user who is going to use it quite often. I would definitely recommend a programmer to use pieces because it's a great tool to have in your tool set as you are doing a programming, because it allows you to be becoming like a lot more efficient, where you can start to reuse your own code again in different projects, or with the Copilot, with all the Gen AI functionality which you have, especially with other models where you just don't need to rely on one simple model, either OpenAI, or you are also given the option to use local models, which is quite amazing as well. So you can basically, a programmer, if he or she is working on a confidential project, they can feel free to use pieces as well with ability to switch different models. As I mentioned earlier, it doesn't happen quite often that I get hooked to a new tool. And this has been a very useful tool, especially being a programmer. I have been using it almost daily. And as I'm using it more and more, it gets on me even more.